be a little bit more of a rant kind of video.
Maybe you should start with saying it's gonna be a rant.
I don't know, I think people will go, oh great. You know what really grinds my gears? If you've been watching my YouTube channel for a while, you probably know all about the skincare habits that I wish people would stop doing. But what I've come to realize is every single year, there are new people who come to the channel and they don't necessarily know what I'm talking about when I refer to something. So today, we're gonna do a little refresher, a little bit of a rant, where I talk about the skincare habits I wish people would just stop doing already. So let's do this. The first one is, when it comes to skincare product reviews, I really wish people would be a little less definitive about whether a skincare product sucks or if it's amazing without specifying some other little details with that. And what I mean by that is context. We always need context when it comes to product reviews. What we have to remember is what works for you might not work for another person and vice versa. What doesn't work for you might be great for somebody else. So when you're too definitive about a product, it can be really confusing to people, especially when you say it sucks, because that might cause people to not buy a product that would be great for their skin. So some of the things that I like to do when I'm reviewing products, one, I like to remind people my skin type or the skin issues that I'm experiencing. I constantly tell people I have dry skin, I tend to have more mature skin, I've had babies, I have melasma and hyperpigmentation and discoloration tend to be my issues. And these are the things I'm constantly dealing with. And that really helps to give people context into what might work for my skin. The other thing I try to do is ask other people their opinions about these products as well. I try to get other people on my team to try the products. I reach out to friends and family members, and sometimes I'll have them try the product too. Or if I know that they were using a product, I'll ask them. You can go onto social media and to see what other people are saying about these products too. Chances are you're going to get a lot of mixed reviews. And there's a reason for that. Not every skincare product was made for every person, and that's okay. The next one, you've probably heard me say this one, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it again. I wish people would stop doing full skincare routines on an airplane. Just stop. You know, for a second there, we stopped seeing people doing skincare on an airplane because that would have been so rude. Most people weren't traveling because they weren't allowed to. And if they would have, it would have just been so rude because we were all wearing masks. But now that the masks have come off, people are traveling so much more, we're starting to see the same thing happen again. People are getting onto airplanes and they are mostly doing it for the content, but I think that they're inspiring other people to do the same thing on the airplane. And what I mean by that is they get on the airplane, they either take out their micellar water or their makeup wipes and they wipe all of their makeup off, all of their sunscreen off, all of it. And then they go in, what we tend to see is they go in with like a sheet mask. They'll put a sheet mask on their face and they'll sit there and then they take that off and they'll put like a spray toner on, which by the way is really rude to the people sitting around you because that also has some fragrance potentially. It can get onto other people. Just don't do sprays at all on the airplane, please. And then they go on to put all their other skincare products on. I personally think it's okay to put some of your skincare products on, especially to reapply your skincare products if you're on a really long flight. I especially think it's great to reapply your sunscreen. If you're on a flight that is a long flight and it's also daylight and you have actual sunlight coming in through the windows, that's a really good reason to apply your sunscreen. But when you do a full skincare routine on an airplane, then you're already setting yourself up for failure. You're really not doing the best skincare routine that you could have done. And I'll tell you why. Your skin is already really dry the minute you're on that airplane. It just is. Airplane air is so dry, it's recycled air, it's kind of disgusting on an airplane. You don't have access to really clean, fresh water to wash your face to start with, so you're not getting the best skincare routine. You'll hear me talk about this in a little bit, but makeup wipes really don't cleanse your skin properly. Micellar water is a little bit better, but it's not gonna be your best bet when it comes to washing your face. So if you're starting off with not a perfectly cleansed face and you're putting all these products on your skin, especially hydrating products in a dry climate like the airplane, you're just setting yourself up for failure. It's not gonna be your best skin. What I tell people is your best bet is to try to do a really good skincare routine before you get on a flight. And then while you're on the flight, if you need to reapply things like your sunscreen, your moisturizer, anything like that, then it's totally fine. I have definitely taken overnight flights as well, where I have, all of my products on, I have my whole skincare routine done, I have my moisturizer on, and right before I go to sleep, maybe I'll put on my retinoid or something like that, and then just another extra layer of moisturizer just because it's so dry on the airplane. And then when I wake up in the morning before we're about to land, I'll pull out a stick sunscreen and I'll apply that just to make sure that I don't touch my face at all with my hands since I've been on the airplane the whole time, but I do get some protection to get me to my hotel. That is a really good skincare routine and a very minimal skincare routine on a really long flight. That's all I think you really need. And obviously applying things like lip balm and like hand cream constantly, those are things that you'll see me apply when I'm on a plane, especially a long flight. If I'm on a short flight, I don't even bother with any of this. If it's like 2 to 3 hours, the only thing you'll see me do is reapply things like my lip balm and my sunscreen. That's it. I don't think it really matters otherwise because you're only on the flight for a few hours. You will be fine. And then when you get off of the flight, if you can schedule your flight to allow some time for you to go to your destination and take a shower or properly wash your face and then do a really nice skincare routine, that is gonna be a winning situation for you. That's the way to do it. No need to do a sheet mask on the airplane. You know what, this one is a little bit of a newer rant for me, but it's definitely been a consistent feeling for me for like the last 3-4 years. And that is to stop hating on chemical filter sunscreens, also known as organic filters. And what I'm really saying is, I hate when people say that mineral filters are better. They are not just better, period. There is always so much more to it when it comes to skincare, and your sunscreen filters are no exception. There are so many different factors that can come into play when it comes to formulation. The reason why this bothers me so much is because at the end of the day, we should be encouraging everybody to just find a sunscreen they love and enjoy applying to their skin every single day. That should be the only message we're really concerned about. That's truly step one. We have to encourage people to use sunscreens, period. And a lot of the time, the sunscreens that people are going to enjoy using are the ones that are chemical filters. And that's because the formulas can be more elegant. They won't necessarily leave a white cast. They won't feel thick and pasty and drying like mineral sunscreens. So you just have a higher chance of convincing somebody to be consistent with their sunscreen if they use a chemical filter sunscreen. The other reason why I find it so annoying when people say that mineral filters are just superior, period, is because I was always told, like years ago, especially as I started to experience melasma and become pregnant and do all these things, I was told I basically could only get the results I wanted with my skin if I used mineral filters. And then I found myself really torn with like all the sunscreens I had because I was like, oh, I don't want to use this one because it's got chemical filters in it. It's going to irritate my skin. It's not going to make my melasma better. It's not going to give me the right protection. But at the same time, I'd be like, oh, but I hate this sunscreen. This mineral sunscreen feels like paste to me. This mineral sunscreen feels very drying to me. This mineral sunscreen leaves a white cast on me, or more specifically on my skin tone. What I experience the most is that fluorescent look that mineral filters can leave on your skin. I get that a lot. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's like this iridescent, like purple fluorescent look that some mineral filters can leave on my skin tone. I don't know why that happens to me, but it is something I experience a lot. Since I've been in the skincare industry for a while, especially since I have my own brand, I've really come to learn that all of the things we hear about mineral sunscreens being superior aren't necessarily true. They're also not necessarily safer for the coral reefs. In fact, there isn't a lot of data on what sunscreen filters in general actually do to the coral reefs. And right now, we can go ahead and be okay with the fact that we're probably not using enough sunscreen to actually do the damage that other things are doing to the coral reefs and the oceans and the environment. It's like probably the least of the concerns of all the concerns that are out there. So I really hate hearing people say that you shouldn't use chemical filters because it turns out you can have really nice sunscreens that have chemical filters in them. And right now, that is my preference. The next thing that I wish people would stop doing when it comes to skincare is mixing their skincare products. And I'm not saying layering. There are big differences between mixing and layering your skincare products. You should absolutely layer your skincare products, but you should not mix them. And what I mean is you shouldn't take your cream and mix it with a serum or try to dilute like your actives, like your retinoids or your exfoliants by trying to figure out, like how much you're gonna put into your cream, anything like that. You should not be the chemist. You should trust the chemists that work with the brands to create these really beautiful products for you and to figure out what's gonna be the best way to mix these kinds of ingredients for you. They're taking into account so many other things. how these ingredients are gonna penetrate your skin. What is the proper pH level for you? What is the proper percentage to have in there? They're also utilizing machines when they're creating these products so that they can mix them together. That way it's even distribution of the ingredients as well. That's something that a lot of people don't think about. I've seen on TikTok, for instance, where people will take like a cream and they'll put their tretinoin in it and try to mix it together themselves so that they have like their own like, I don't know, retinoid cream that's a little bit more gentle. But what you might actually be doing is creating hot spots with these products where you're putting on, like a really big, thick layer of the retinoid in some areas and not in other ones, because you're not the chemist. That's really what it comes down to. Do not mix your skincare products yourself. There's so much more that goes into formulating products. I have so much respect for the product development people on my team, for the chemists that I work with, because I see every single day all the little details that they are thinking about that I would have never considered. Even as somebody who's in this industry, they always take so many different details into account. And this is how you get your best skin, is by utilizing the products that they have made for you. Speaking of formulation, this brings me to the next one, and that is people saying that high or low percentages are what matter the most when it comes to your products. And I can tell you right now, an example of this is people saying you have to have a high percentage of, for instance, ascorbic acid to be able to see results. And what I'm talking about is like, you'll see a vitamin C serum that has 20% ascorbic acid. And immediately people think, well, that is gonna be the most effective vitamin C serum for my skin. And again, what it comes down to is formulation. Ascorbic acid is highly unstable. So the minute you open it, that percentage really starts to become less and less effective every single day after you have opened it. So even though it's at 20%, you might not be getting the benefits of 20% ascorbic acid a week later. You might be getting 5%. It's all hard to tell you because it all just comes down to formulation. You've probably heard me talk about technologies like encapsulation, or when it comes to products like the SkinCeuticals CE Ferulic, I still think that would be a much more efficacious product because they have a patented way to stabilize their ascorbic acid and really put that whole formula together for you so it remains stable and effective. So just remember that percentage doesn't really mean anything. It's all about the formulation. This is another one that just bothers me so much, and that is when people refer to only one beauty expert or one skincare expert as the authority on whatever skincare knowledge they're trying to share or whatever skincare information they have. And the reason why I say that is because yes, you should absolutely get all of your information from different skincare experts. I think that's always really important. But what I always like to remind people is that the information in skincare, just like in every industry, is constantly changing. It's constantly evolving. We're always learning so much. So while one expert might say something that might be correct, but it might be old information, there could be another person who has the newer information or has a little bit more nuance to add to that information, or might know something else that that person doesn't know. So you should always take into account that every single expert that you find, skincare expert specifically, they're always gonna have slightly different information, especially depending on what it is that they do in the skincare industry. For instance, a dermatologist might be referencing studies that they learned about while they were in school, and maybe some of the information has evolved, right? I've heard lots of dermatologists actually talk about information that is a little bit more outdated, and then heard other dermatologists talk about that same information, but with the more updated information. So what we know about skincare is constantly evolving. That's okay. This is every single industry. I think another good example is someone who is a chemist has a completely different perspective about skincare and skincare ingredients than, for instance, a dermatologist. Or, there are a lot of people out there who are estheticians, who are, skincare adjacent because they work as PAs. So maybe they work in dermatology offices and they know a lot about injectables and peels and lots of those in-office treatments. Everybody has a different perspective depending on how they were trained, who they've learned from, and also with just their personal experiences when it comes to skincare. I feel like chemists, for instance, really understand how certain ingredients work together, for instance, hence they're putting together the products for you, they're formulating them. Whereas a dermatologist obviously has really deep knowledge about skin diseases, and they'll immediately know those ingredients that you need to use to treat those diseases. Estheticians, on the other hand, might not have all the education that a dermatologist or a chemist might have, but they're actually touching a lot of the faces and the skin of the people who are looking for all the issues, right? So they see lots of different people and they're talking to them very deeply, sometimes for like an hour or 2 hours while they're working on their faces and trying to help them learn about their skincare products. So there are all these different perspectives that come from the skincare industry. So it's really important for you to get information from lots of different people, because the more people you listen to and the more people you follow, the more you will feel like you're getting the right information that fits you. And I also think it's really important to find people that are similar to you, that have similar perspectives as you, maybe same skin tones, skin issues as you. That's always gonna really help you shape and frame your mindset when it comes to skincare. And then the last one, not everybody agrees with this. This is kind of a polarizing topic. I don't know why. It's not very polarizing to me. It's very straightforward to me. But that is to stop using makeup wipes. Stop it. Stop using makeup wipes. I already know there are gonna be comments of people being like, I use makeup wipes and my skin is fine. Fine, use what works for you. That is fine. But my whole thing is makeup wipes are probably the devil when it comes to the skincare industry. They are cheap to make. Brands love putting out makeup wipes because people constantly repurchase these. These are the kinds of products that people constantly repurchase. And repurchase products are the products that brands make the most money on. So I want you to keep that in mind. This is how they make money off of you. But makeup wipes do not do exactly what you think. Whenever I am talking to people, and this is why it became so apparent to me that makeup wipes were the devil, over the last, I don't know, has it been like 9, 10 years that I have been doing this? I mean, this channel I've had for about 9 years now. And whenever I get messages from people, and I used to really speak to a lot of my followers more closely in my messages and stuff, because it just felt like a different place, a different time when you would have all these conversations. A lot of the people who would come to me and say that they've just had all these issues, they've been using these products that they hear me talk about, or taking advice from a dermatologist, or went and saw an esthetician, but they still continue to have these skin issues. Mostly a lot of like clogged pores, irritated skin, a lot of acne. One of the common factors that I found was that they were starting with makeup wipes to cleanse their skin. And that's probably what I think is the biggest issue, is when people think that they get a proper cleanse when they use only makeup wipes. Sometimes I think it's okay if you use a makeup wipe and you're really gentle with your skin and you just really take off your makeup and then you go in with a proper cleanse using a real cleanser. That way you're actually cleansing your skin and starting from a really good point for your skincare routine. But at the end of the day, I really think that makeup wipes just suck. They barely cleanse your skin. You have to usually rub your skin. And this is where I really take issue with it. I'll sometimes see comments where people are like, but I'm really gentle when I use my makeup wipes. Okay, well, if you're gentle, that is good to know. Keep doing you. If you feel like you're good, you're good. But like in my 20s, when I used to use makeup wipes, or when I used to be out with my girlfriends, or we'd be on like a trip or something, when I would see them use their makeup wipes, they would pull out like 3, 4, 5 wipes, and they'd be just rubbing the shit out of their eyes, especially their eyes, because that's where their eye makeup is. And they'd just be tugging and rubbing. And at the end of it, their skin would be so red and their skin wouldn't even be completely clean. And I think a lot of people really underestimate the power of having a perfectly cleansed face. And what I mean by that is you have cleansed your skin. You have removed all of your makeup, all of your sunscreen, all of the grime from the day, but it was in a gentle way, and your skin doesn't feel tight, it doesn't feel stripped, and it doesn't feel dry, and it doesn't feel irritated. So if you are using makeup wipes and it's not completely cleaning your face, and your face is super irritated by the end of it, and then you're also a little bit dry, you know what I also find is people like use a makeup wipe and then they just like conk out and go to bed. And then they don't put anything on. So then their skin is also irritated and dry and not completely clean. There are just so many, do you see, like it's like a domino effect. There's so many issues with makeup wipes. And this is why I have such an issue with them. Stop using makeup wipes. They're also bad for the environment. Anyway, I'm gonna stop ranting. You can go back and watch so many of my videos and you'll see why I hate makeup wipes. And I am going to just drive this home for the rest of my life. That makeup wipes are not good for you. They're not good for your skin. And don't underestimate the power of a perfect cleanse, because it really gets your skin started for success. It really does. Having that perfect canvas to do your skincare routine on is where you're gonna get the most success with your skincare. It really is. Anyway, I'm done ranting. I love ranting. I could sit here and rant forever. But if you've been following me, you know, you already knew all of this. You probably just sat there nodding your head with me. If not, if you're new here, this is how I feel. If you have any questions or anything to add, tell me in the comments below. You can find me on Instagram and on TikTok. I'm at Susan Yara, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.